My name is Amanda Nell Yu. I'm a filmmaker, so I write and direct films. So far I've been doing short films and I'm just about to shoot my first feature film. So yeah, that's me so far. My background, I guess it started, I went to art school and I did graphic design, and when I was studying graphic design, a lot of my projects were using a camera. So then I realized, I'm not a graphic designer. I want to be a filmmaker, and so I enrolled into film school, and that was really when my whole life changed, and I didn't realize that I could do something that is my dream. And so after film school, I studied in UK, and then I moved back to Malaysia and started working for various projects in different companies, as all sorts of different roles, and then eventually started to direct my own short films again in Malaysia. So when I was working in Malaysia, I've worked in film projects, I've worked as development, writers, researchers, but I also taught as a film lecturer as a part-time film lecturer as well in university. So. I actually love teaching film. It's really inspiring to kind of meet new voices that are from a totally different generation from me. So of course they see things very differently to me already. And so they teach me a lot as well as when I get to tell them what I know. And it's really fun to see people just, blossom and realize their potential and how strong they can be as storytellers as well. So yeah, I love teaching a lot. Filmmaking is obviously a crazy thing to do. It's very, very difficult. It's very tough to kind of, first of all, make a film in the first place. You need money, you need teamwork. And I think, the idea is to never give up and really believe in your story. And so, yeah, I was very fortunate enough to, make some short films and have them travel internationally in major festivals. And I guess through that, I learned more the more I traveled as well. And so then my voice started growing, and I started learning, who I was and who I was as a filmmaker, and I think that's given me a lot more confidence now to get to where I am, to be ready to, make my first feature film. Yeah. So right now, there's of course difficulties jumping from short to feature. The budget is a lot bigger, but aside from those, very obvious reasons, we also know that this year it has been very tricky for filmmakers. So we've again had to kind of re-strategize how to move on to the next step, how to keep everyone safe on shoot. So yeah, right now my struggle is actually dealing with the current climate of COVID. And once we've kind of overcome this, then yeah, I'm actually quite ready to shoot already. So yeah, let's see what happens next. So I became very inspired actually when I moved back from UK back to Malaysia. And actually Malaysia itself was incredibly inspiring. The people around me, the women around me, and especially the folk tales. These horror tales, these folk tales, these stories about Pontianaks, Penanggans, creatures that I was very afraid of when I was younger, being born here. But, returning back to these stories, I realized that these were the stories that I wanted to tell, and these are the stories that excite me a lot. So it was full circle. I got into cinema because I love horror films, and then I went to film school and I thought I had to be like something else. I had to be like some art house realist director. But then coming back to Malaysia made me realize what my true love is, and I really do love to tell horror films. I love monsters, I love ghouls and spirit. I'm also very much inspired by actually my peers, so other directors around me, especially directors my age, directors doing the same thing. We discuss a lot about our work. We actually get inspired by each other. Along with that, of course, the older generation of the Malaysian new wave of 10 years ago, I see them as mentors. I look up to all the things they've done. They've done many things that I hope to achieve as well. So, yeah, I love that kind of small. Well, I think we are kind of a small industry, and we can be very close. And so I think it's a very nice kind of relationship that I have with the filmmakers around me. What I like to explore, of course, I mentioned earlier, was very much our folk tales. But what I like to do is actually take these folk tales, for example, like the Pontianak, and imagine what is it like if she's my best friend. Because I look up to her. The Pontianak, she's an icon in our world, and she's beautiful and she's very strong, and so why not she has to be my best friend. And really then it becomes not just another story about a ghost or another story about a monster, but it becomes a personal story for me because I really treat her like she's my best friend. Or whether it's the Penanggalan, if I had to fly out every day of my body, what do I need to do? And so then I start to relate my own experience as a woman, my own experience with how I see myself in this world, and I guess it kind of does humanize these monsters and becomes more relatable, and because I want to tell my audience that you can relate to these people too. So I've been, so my short films have traveled to various international film festivals, notably Venice Film Festival, and also Clermont-Ferrand Film Festival, and Locarno as well. So yeah, there's it's been a few places. So, since my short films have traveled a lot, even developing my feature film, I have been traveling around with this project. I mean, I've been very, very lucky to realize that this project has been accepted in so many places around the world, so many of the best project markets, even getting, very competitive grants from the world. And it's been a really nice experience to realize that, when the film gets made, and we're going to release it to the whole world, it's going to be on an international stage, international platform. And this is, like I said, this was a Malaysian story made by, a Malaysian team, a Malaysian director who is inspired by, our landscape, our jungles, our nature. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to see that happening, and also really excited to see more and more filmmakers doing that and realizing the potential of their story, that you can screen your film somewhere in France or somewhere in the US, and people can understand what you're trying to say, because our stories are not just closed in one bubble, they're very universal. So yeah, so it's been nice to have that. So aside from that, I see myself as a Malaysian filmmaker, and I'm also really proud to see myself as a Southeast Asian filmmaker. I think that right now the Southeast Asian filmmakers are really bubbling something very, very exciting, and so it's very nice to actually be part of this group, be part of this Southeast Asian gang. Where we're gonna show the whole world what we have to say, and the way we tell stories is way more insane and way more fun and way more shocking and surprising, and I think everyone's ready to see that now. So it's nice to be part of this whole Southeast Asian gang. So to talk about how far I've come already in this industry, and you know, being so grateful for all the things I've done, I just also want to add that I'm so grateful that I've never felt hindered in any way because of my gender. I've never felt that I am a woman filmmaker. I've always felt of myself as a filmmaker who is allowed to tell the stories she wants to tell. And the stories I want to tell are, of course, you know, representing you know, more female voices, more minority voices even. So it's nice to realize that, you know, we're in 2020 now and I can do these films, I can talk about these films, and there's an audience for these films, and it's actually quite a wide audience. So in my work, of course, it's very obvious there's a lot of horror elements, a lot of monster elements, and my main protagonist is always a girl, a female. I think, you know, for that obvious reason is because I'm a female as well, and I know what I want to see on screen. I know what I want a female should be on screen, what is an empowering female, what is someone who represents to be very strong. And I think it's not, yeah, I think it's because I like seeing those kind of characters on screen. I feel like we should see more very complex, very layered characters, not just, you know, female but also men, but it's just because it's personal that I'm a woman, so I don't want to lie about, you know, not knowing certain things. It comes from a very honest place. So yeah, I tell stories about, you know, Pontianak, Penanggalan, or like even Rimau Jadian, and they're all girls, they're all either young girls, they're all women, and it comes from me, actually. These stories are very honest, very personal, very much like if you see my work and you know who I am personally, you definitely know, like, okay, like I know who made this, because there's a lot of really personal things, a lot of things she deals with as a woman, things she deals with, you know, just growing up as a young girl as well. So yeah, I think that's really how I kind of do my storytelling and how I relate to these great, you know, giant iconic monsters in Malaysia.